right. I'm live on Twitch now.
I'll pull the Twitch thingy up. A bald ass head. Ugh. Do that way.
Oh my god. There we go.
In the chat rules, you described the lurking as just watching.
Hmm?
There's someone in the chat read the rules with lurking.
Oh, lurking. So lurking is when like you're busy doing other things and you just leave the stream up and yeah, you just listen and watch or put it on mute, but you're still like a viewer. You show up as a viewer
Mm-hmm.
in the stream itself. You just kind of leave your phone or whatever just like there.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like what I'm doing right now.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that answered your question there.
Oh, left, we need 1,000.
I like that there's a zoom up on my Gengar. That's nice.
I'm fixing it.
I mean, can we leave it like that way? I don't mind talking as Gengar.
Oh, whoops. That works. How are you doing today, Blackheart? Thanks for joining in, man. I'm just trying to fix some things before we actually go live here. Such as the
Recording.
camera settings.
No, yeah. Okay, I am back in the chat. Bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da-dum, dum, dum. Blackheart, you ever played Dead Space? Be nice to actually get like solid conversations in chat, like ask us questions about the game.
It's been a long time since I played Dead Space.
Blackheart, you ever played Dead Space?
Oh.
The Dave Daly said, "What's up, Crisp?"
Hey, what up, Dave? How you doing, man? What the heck happened to the camera now? I just had your filter set perfect.
Oh, this face doesn't need a filter. It's just beautiful. Apply, 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 apply. Just layers of filter. Oh, wait.
Jesus, this requires a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful you do it. I'd lose my shite. Start throwing things. Set my house on fire. You know, normal outrage stuff.
Yeah, it couldn't be the worst thing that you've done.
No, the worst thing I've ever raged was I was assembling a dresser at one point in time, and I got really mad and punched a hole straight through that like plywood in the back.
Casual.
Just casual hole in a dresser. It was on the back, so nobody knew. I knew, but nobody else did.
Okay.
I was like 12.
Okay, so we have that. How are you doing today, Dave? I hope all is well.
You didn't hear that, did you?
Hear what? Hey, Dave?
Okay, good. My cat's freaking out because he wants to be in the same room as my wife, but she would shut the door, so he's angry.
Nope. Jesus, dude. Google Docs is so bright. It's so white.
So white.
Seriously, there's no dark mode. I hate it. Alright. Are you ready, man?
Do I need to get my docs up?
Chillin', man. A stupid daylight saving time mess and shit. Dude, ain't that the truth, man? It sucks. Well, I woke up today at like 11:30, but I was still awake yesterday for when the time change happened from 1:59 to 2 to 3, I mean.
Did you want me to get Google Docs up?
That's up to you, man. I just use it for the intro because I have all the intros written down.
Oh, okay. No, I'm good. I'm good then.
And there we go. You just need so much up for all this to work. Okay, I'm gonna start recording and then I'll hit the intro song.
Good.
Hello and welcome back to the Craved Gaming Podcast, episode 9. We're on 9. We were just talking about this. It's crazy. The only week we've I guess we've been doing this for a little bit longer because we missed the Super Bowl and one other week for the PC and all that stuff. But
Oh yeah, that's right.
welcome, episode 9 of the Crave Gaming Podcast. This week we're going over Dead Space 2 and 3, just as to the continuation of the saga of what we talked about last week, which is the prequel and Dead Space 1. But my name is Chase, also known as Crispy Claire, and I am warmly welcomed again by my co-host, Ross. Ross, say hi.
What's up? So happy to be here, man. Like, this is 2 is by far my favorite game I've ever played ever, so I look forward to just diving into it.
Hey, that's awesome, man. I'm glad. That means we'll have a lot of good discussions and good things going on. I love it. Um, so a couple things to go over first before we dive deep into these games, because like I love Dead Space 2 as well. It's been a long time since I've played it, but we will get into that. For starters, I do, since last week Twitch was down. I'm sorry that we didn't go live. So everyone who watches us live, we are very sorry. But it is back up now. I don't know what happened last Sunday, but it was not working. But so I will thank, let's see, Jake Down, Pritchy Boy, and Admiral Akbar. I appreciate you guys following me in these last 2 weeks on Twitch. Thank you guys so much. We love and appreciate you guys.
So much.
Again, if you guys do listen to this and you want to actually see the content happen firsthand, we go live every Sunday on my channel, Crispy Claire, on Twitch every Sunday at 7:30 Central Standard Time. Right. I started losing track of my words there, and I have to dial it back a sec. So we go live, and then after we go live, I put this out on all of your podcasting apps. I won't name all of them, but your Google Podcast, Spotify, your Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. It goes live the next day for you all to listen to, and we appreciate all of you guys so much who are supporting us. We appreciate you guys a ton. We love and appreciate everybody who comes by and listens to this in their free time. I mean, I love to know the increase in how many people are watching our podcast weekly now. It's crazy to see the substantial increase of people who actually enjoy listening to what we have. So it's just weird to actually see that go on. And I know we're starting a little early this week, but I figured we would start a little early because 1, the stream was not working last week, and 2, we may have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So, and again, last thing I can say is if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, leave us 5 stars if you are enjoying this program, if you listen to it in your free time and you're actually enjoying what you hear. We would love and appreciate that. It helps us a lot for the analytics and everything, and helps us keep us on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to accompany that review or that 5-star with a review, we will read it live on the program. This week, again, we don't have any, so we'll just wait and see when those start coming through. Those usually take about 2 or 3 days to get through on Apple for us. So if you wrote one within the last 2 or 3 days, it just hasn't shown up for us, so we'll just have to get to it next week. And then also follow us on the YouTube. All these go up live on YouTube as well. So I stream this live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So all of it can see it, and then they all save to all of those. And again, it's Crispy Claire on all of it. So what else you got, Ross? Any intros, any announcements, anything?
No, just make sure subscribe. Again, with the reviews, we do read them live, like he said, to the best of our abilities. Obviously, certain things you get in there. Words that aren't allowed, we replace with the word of the day. The word of the day will be pineapple for next week. So if you leave a review, we'll replace every bad word with pineapple.
I love it.
So it's your own little version of Mad Libs.
That's awesome. It's a good thing to do. We haven't actually had any bad words going through, so we haven't had any chance to actually replace it. So I'm excited to wait for one that we can replace with. Someone leave us a review that has a cuss word in it, or something of the sort to where Apple will approve it. I want to say pineapple next week.
Yeah, if there's no reviews, we'll just talk about pineapples for the first 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, this program's not going to start where you're going to listen to pineapples for 10 minutes.
Just solid 10 minutes of. So are you more of like a?
Yeah. But awesome.
Other than that,
no other announcements, nothing. What have you done this week? What have you been up to, man?
Other than work, I have been streaming with Princess Bayo. We've been doing a lot of Faz, um, which I had the clutchest play ever. I don't know if you saw that. Basically, there was
The
a ghost
circle.
right on my, yeah, the circle. That was the luckiest thing of my life because I kept cutting the corner as he was about to get me, and so
I did see that because she did it.
clutch.
She watched you while she was dead.
Yeah,
That was
it was
pretty funny.
beautiful. I told her I was like, clip it.
That's okay. Yeah, thanks for the invites, by the way. Appreciate it.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, cool. I didn't want to play Faz this week, anyways. Getting over it.
Yeah, enough salt there to put McDonald's out of business, my guy.
Ain't that the truth? Uh, anyways, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this entire episode. Of course, we are the continuation of the Dead Space saga. A great, great, great saga. We started doing this last week, got into the prequel and the in Dead Space 1. So this week we figured it only seems right that if you guys are listening to the podcast, that you are going in continuation with that for Dead Space 2 and 3. So if you're interested in understanding the way Dead Space itself works, then this is the episode for you because this is going to be the continuation of the story. And I think I'm going to start this new thing where I say right now, just up front before we talk about it, spoiler alert.
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
like that should be justified that if I said spoiler alert right now, you will hear things about this thing, this game, that if you want to play it yourself, don't listen to all of it because we
Gonna
will
be
spoil some things.
oh yeah, a lot of spoilers for Dead Space 1, 2, and because there it's so much to unpack that it can't not be spoiled. If I was gonna not spoil it, we'd have a 10-minute podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like if because I guess in my opinion is we can Dead Space is a series where you can spoil it. Like you can someone can tell you how it ends, yet it's still an awesome game to watch and play and have fun with because it's still
Oh
fun
yeah.
just to get from the end points. So, I do you want to start off? It's one of your
Sure.
favorite games of all time, man.
You're
I'm not
you're
gonna.
definitely gonna have to cut me off at some point.
Okay,
Um,
I like it. Just go, man. It's been a long time
I'll
since I played Dead Space 2, so you'll probably remind me of some things.
I'll
Go for
catch
it.
you up with the story thus far is in Dead Space 2 you get a lot of Dead Space 1 knowledge where why the Ishimura was at that planet, why their planet cracking, which is opening up a planet to strip it of all of its minerals and resources. Basically, the Earth's on the brink of a collapse. So you get a lot of that in there. But Dead Space 2 picks off for the ending of Dead Space 1, which, if you haven't played it, I'll tell you. Dead Space 1 ends with you returning the marker to the planet, and whenever they crack a planet, they take a pretty much a continent-sized chunk of the planet up, and that part was coming down towards the planet. So when you return the marker, it shut off I guess, the stabilizer for that continent-sized rock that's hovering above the planet, and it pretty much imploded the planet. Your Isaac barely escaped, but at the very end, he was attacked by a apparition of his dead wife, and that's what I thought was the most interesting because now Dead Space 2 did a better job at scares because now they added psychological scares as opposed to physical jump scares. Physical jump scares you kind of train your body to get used to. Psychological, they can do almost anything. And let me tell you, it's intense. Um, those that do suffer from like dementia kind of will understand like or have seen dementia work. It's real similar to what you go through in Dead Space 2 because Dead Space 2 starts off with you're strapped in a psych ward and there's an outbreak again of necromorphs. But this is like during the initial outbreak. Like you start seeing people die as opposed to coming across their body in Dead Space 1. This is a full like you're in the middle of the outbreak from start to finish. And that's another thing I really like too cuz I was always curious at like how much chaos there would be. And let me tell you there's a lot. A lot because as soon as you're in that psych ward, you are bound in a straitjacket, can't move your arms, but you can run, and you have to run because you're at the end of the hallway, and necromorphs are breaking through different doors coming after you, so you have to bob and weave, zigzag, and then you meet probably the what sets the tone for the entire um, game. So you're on a moon city. I think it's actually one of Jupiter's moons, if I'm not mistaken, or Saturn's moons. It was Titan, and
Yeah, it's Titan.
yeah, it's I think it's called like they call the city the Sprawl.
I can't remember
Eh,
what moon that actually is, so you could be right. It's
I think it's
Jupiter. I don't know.
I think it's Saturn, Saturn or Jupiter, one of the moons there, and there's a video playing that says this is director Tideman.
It's
We're
Saturn.
ordering. Yeah, I
Good
knew it. I
call.
knew it.
Good call.
Thanks. Director Tideman's like, this is he needs to. He's ordering the doctors to quote scrub all key personnel, kill them. And so you eventually come across a doctor who has like bloody handprints and he has a scalpel, and uh he recognizes, he's like, Isaac Clarke, I remember you. And but he's clearly lost his mind, and that's one of the early onsets of dementia, is that you become like crazy. But there's a one moment in there where he cuts off your bindings, but it looks like he stabbed you. And then he starts like talking like what's one more to like the I think the kill total or that he's at. And then he notices that your rig, which is your heart, your health thing, um, is red. And then you can see for a moment he starts kind of coming out of it, and he's like, your rig is red. It's red. You need a health thing, and it tells you how to. It's a little tutorial thing, but it's really weird to see someone who was psychologically demented, ready to kill you, switch back. And that's what I think they did a really good idea of setting the tone, because there's a lot. Like you're gonna meet people that go through you, people that are normal, people that aren't normal, um, and you're gonna get to. There's a lot of really sad things that you can hear, and if you put context clues together, like at one point when you're walking through like one of the living quarters, you can hear a baby screaming inside of a dryer. If that's not dark, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? Like someone was they had the dimension enough to where they literally stuffed their baby in a dryer and turned it on, because you just hear thump 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 and then screaming. And yeah, so the story continues where you are. It starts off with first the church of Scientology contacted you because the government's trying to kill you because you're one of the key parts of their plan that needs to be scrubbed. Kind of the no witnesses as to why the outbreak occurred.
Yeah, since you're the only survivor, the sole survivor of that first attack on Dead Space One on
Yep.
Ishimura, you're like the only person that survived, and training exercise just states that you need to be killed.
Yep. Yeah, and
So
they do try. So you trust the government for a little bit, and then you pretty much crawl through this entire city, trying to find a way out. You meet, I think the church ends up betraying you at one point,
of course they do.
because yeah, of course it's the church, and because they want to keep redoing this outbreak because they see it as God's new work, which we didn't touch on it last time, but there was a guy in Dead Space 1 that viewed this as a path of religion. The necromorphs would, they'd kill you and then they would reanimate your body, and then some people in the game saw that as like, this is the path of God. This is our next evolution. And so they're trying to recreate that again, and so they want to kidnap Isaac because, and here's the most important part of the game, he his mind ended up making the code for the marker that's on the sprawl now.
Yep.
So he's the reason, and he feels bad about that. So he then sets out to destroy the marker and destroy Tideman, and also trying to find a way out. And then that's when he meets Ellie, and there's a crazy guy also named Strauss who was, I guess, a patient with him there, who was also kind of responsible for making his own markers and things like that. And
And I'm pretty sure
all
Strauss, for those of you who may have played all of Dead Space, I haven't played all of Dead Space because, from what I heard, he's like the main protagonist in Ignition. There's a Dead Space Ignition, or maybe that's the cartoon.
I think it may be
Yeah,
because the name comes up multiple times.
yeah,
I just can't remember where else it comes from.
and I think he's the main protagonist in uh that whatever that is, the ignition. Let's see. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that
he
sounds
is.
right.
Okay, and yeah, ignition is the cartoon. Okay.
And the really cool thing about Strauss is you watch throughout the game, you watch him break down each stage. So at first he's pretty normal. He's a little sporadic, given everything going on. It's pretty normal. Um, but he you see him devolve throughout the game to where he sees, I think he sees his son or his daughter, one of his children, and he talks to her, and then Isaac's like, it's not real because he's going through the same thing. He keeps seeing Nicole, although Nicole is bloody, and where her eyes and mouth are, it's just white static. And she keeps saying, "Make us whole." That's the whole point of the marker, which we'll get into in a little bit. Um, I do have a question for you, Chase. At what point do you think Strauss was at the tipping point where he literally there was no coming back for him? Because there's one scene in particular that I knew he was gone for good, and I want to know if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, geez, dude.
Not to put you on blast, but it had to do with Ellie too, which Ellie was I think she's a soldier. Um, she was on the sprawl as well, but she doesn't trust anyone and slowly gains your trust. But there was a part where Isaac told her to watch Strauss, and she was like, "He seems twitchy, doesn't like it," because she knows what happens. Those that are twitchy and dementia eventually have a psychological breakdown, and it was pretty graphic. Because there's a little thing that he kept saying over and over again. There were the steps. Step one, crawl inside. Step two, the screws go tight all around. Step three, cross your heart, hope to die, stick a needle in your eye. The tipping point, if you don't know, um, you know what I'm talking about? The scene with the screwdriver.
Does I mean the one where he stabs himself?
No, he stabs Ellie in the eye and rips out her eye. Because he like pins her down and he says, "Cross your heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in her eye." And he takes a screwdriver and pops out her eye.
But then he stabs himself too with a screwdriver, and then he's because
I think
that's
it
how he
will.
dies. That's how he
Yeah,
dies.
yeah. Because he tried to do the same thing to Isaac. He tried to stab Isaac because he said
Yeah.
he
Okay.
wasn't strong enough to face her, and he's talking about his daughter, and because the apparitions kept getting to him, because the apparition kept telling him the same thing to make it whole. He couldn't
Mm-hmm.
handle that, and so he had a breakdown. But that for me was like the minute he was like stabbed Ellie in the eye, I was like, oh, okay, he's officially just a bad guy at this point. Yeah, he's just gone.
His dementia got the
Fully.
best of him, and now he's not able to handle anything that's happening. Which is
Yeah, and then what
crazy whenever you're playing these games to see that Isaac can even handle it. Like nobody in the right mind will be able to handle this stuff going on.
Isaac's breakdown is by far my favorite. Um, there are so many good little scenes to where there's a good part where you're crawling out of vent and Nicole appears and she has a syringe and she's trying to aim it at your eye again and it gets really close and you have to mash the button to get her off.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time she's just screaming, "Make us whole, make us whole." But then there's parts where you don't see her, but you hear her, and she's openly mocking you. She's like, because when you finally push her away with the syringe, you come back to reality and realize that you're holding the syringe, and you almost stabbed yourself in the eye. And then she further mocks you by saying, "You almost killed yourself. Now, why would that be?" And and then of course Isaac doesn't talk to her because he's trying to repress it, but she says, "That's right, ignore the pain buried deep inside. Let me fester, let me rot," because she knows that she's going to rot him from the inside out.
Jeez.
They did such a good job with these psychological horror aspect of is the reason why it's my favorite. Like there are
I was to say,
so
like,
many.
this is my favorite game. I remember for sure. I just don't remember all this stuff that you remember. You have
I so
a mass knowledge of this stuff.
I actually wrote a Silent Hill Dead Space D&D campaign kind of crossover where it
Ah.
took psychological elements of Dead Space 2 and then there was like monsters from Silent Hill. So there's a reason why I know so much about that is because I broke it down. I rewatched a lot of the cutscenes and replayed the game for little things that I might have missed that I could use in the campaign. Um,
Hmm. That sounds
it
fun.
was it broke one of my characters or one of my players. One of my friends was just like, I can't, man. You're gonna have to tone it down a bit. I mean, well, rightfully so because like it gets dark, like real dark.
Yeah, this game did a
Um,
really good job about doing that. They did a really good job.
and I think the further devolve of Isaac, so he starts off not talking to her, and then at one point he starts talking to her, and he's like, um, she's like, "What's the matter? Afraid you're gonna cut your wrist if you talk to me?" And he finally says, "He's like, you're not real." Um, and she's like, "Oh, you claim I'm not real, yet here I am." And then he's like, "Strauss knows how to stop you. We will destroy the marker." And then she says, "That's right, destroy the marker and all the pain, hurt and pain go away." Imagine that, Isaac. You'd never have to listen to your heart, because again, it's Nicole talking to him, and she's like teasing at the fact that he's trying so hard to destroy the marker so that he can get over Nicole, but he's not, and she knows that. So there's a lot of different elements mixed into his breakdown. I think the full. I wouldn't say he like fully breaks down, but there was a good yelling match that he has with her. Towards that one part of the game, she appears and he's like, "You're not real," and then he screams like, "You're not Nicole," and then she screams back, "Who am I?" And you see him start to like twitch and like go through like mental pain, which is like signs of dementia. So he's like fully starting, but it's really sad. Is like see like this is like a big hero to you, but he's not a hero at all if you think about it. Like there's so many times where he just gets thrown around. He's not like doing backflips and shooting headshots. He is scrambling for his life.
Again,
Like this
guys, he's an engineer. He's an engineer. He's
yeah,
not a soldier.
just a run of the mill engineer. Remember the train scene?
Yeah.
What happened when that train started collapsing? Oh shit! And then he just started scrambling for his life,
Yeah.
screaming at the top of his lungs. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's real. That's a real response.
That's yeah. It's just it does a very good job at understanding that like not every protagonist inside of a video game is gonna be a super soldier who can get out of any situation that you can imagine. You know, this guy's I mean, dying in this game is just as easy as surviving. You know, like you can die super quick in this game, and all the stuff that they put you through is very difficult. And I mean, like you said, he's just an engineer. He's not some guy who's built for all of this stuff. It just happened to him, and it sucks.
It does. And like you really feel for this character like throughout this moment. Like there's some heartbreaking scenes. To continue with the story and the further breakdown of Isaac. Um, so eventually you realize that there's a government sector that's where the marker's hiding. Um,
And real quick,
yeah, good.
just so everyone knows, this is probably something we should have stated at the beginning. The events of this take place 3 years after Dead Space 1.
Oh yeah,
So
that's right. I
it's
didn't even know
been like
that.
3 years outside of all this, and all of this dementia stuff just comes back out of nowhere. Like, he was fine, he was doing okay, all this happened. The world that they were cracking imploded, and then they went and lived their life for 3 years, and then this happens.
He was hostage that whole time. He was under sedation for the 3 years while they decoded his brain.
Okay,
That's
but
why that's why in the psych ward, I think.
yeah.
Oh, but no, you're talking about yeah, because yeah, you're right, because he was living his best, and then they started messing with his head.
I say I'm not. Yeah, he's not living his best or anything. I get that, but like this didn't like he didn't get captured from the Ishimura, and then Dead Space 2 happens. This is three
Right.
years down the line.
Yeah,
So
that's and I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like this was like it's a True and Blue a sequel. Um,
hmm
one thing I do like is it's sort of off topic, but or not off topic, but a weird tangent. You know how you can So in Dead Space 2, they tell you to like once you down an enemy, you hit it again and you can like loot will pop out.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep hitting like smashing a dead body, he'll start cussing. Like motherfucker die. And like it's like a weird thing to add, but it makes sense. Like if you're just smashing something wanting to die, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to say too.
You're taking all your rage out, like everything happening, and you're just like, oh my god, just die. Just die.
Right. That's again a non superhero move, but something that's completely valid and realistic that they added in.
Yeah,
Uh, Rage at something that just refuses to die.
true.
Is that what the demons feel like in Doom? You
I would
think?
imagine so, but I feel like in Doom they just kind of like they just I don't know, they see Doomslayer and they're like, "All right, guys, let's give it our best."
All right, let's go on team on three. One, two, three, team.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's my imagination when I see the Doomslayer come in. And he's just like, hey fellas," and they're like, "All right, boys, we talked about this. This is the plan. Let's do our best."
do your best. Well, we gave it our best shot.
Yeah, yeah. He was the Doomslayer.
Oh me. But back to the story. So they go to the government sector, and this is when Ellie finds they find like it's a shuttle, like a small fighter class ship, and Ellie goes on, starts turning it on, and she's like, "All right, Isaac, we can leave." And he deploys it from his side because, and this is when you kind of realize that Isaac is has gotten to the point where he knows he's not going to walk away from this one. This is his last. This is his last hurrah. And which I know you're thinking at this point, but Ross, that's Dead Space 3. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'm just setting the tone for it. And and then there's a nice exchange where Isaac's like Ellie's like, Isaac, what are you doing? Stop this, stop it. And he says, Ellie, you got food, water, life support. You're gonna make it. Like this is what you wanted. And you see her break down and um she's sad because she knows what Isaac knows. And then after she sends him off, he like sits down. You see that he's sad because he confronting your own death is hard. And then that's when it's Nicole, but it's normal Nicole. It's not the angry one. And she says, "Are you ready to talk now?" And he says, "I don't think that's a good idea. This isn't what I wanted." And she says, "It's really weird because this is like a mental virus, an evil thing." But they have such a civil conversation of she's like, a lot happened that we never wanted, but we have to move forward. And that's kind of where the game continues. And
Yeah.
it's weird because again, this is something you've been fighting the entire game and now you're working with it. Um, and eventually you do get to where there's the marker, and that's when the make us whole thing makes sense as she tries to absorb you somehow. It doesn't do a good job explaining it that I've found. Um, but you take place basically it's the marker inside your head is where the final battle takes place. But it has my favorite line in the whole game, and that's God damn it, I trusted you. Fuck you and fuck your marker. And you just start going to town on her, and it just like especially if you have a contact beam, super satisfying. That was the easiest boss fight in the world if you have a contact beam. But that's the game in a nutshell. There are some things that happen. I'm not going to tell you how Isaac escapes. That's for you to find out. Um, yeah, this is just our review on it. But now that we have the story out of the way, there's a lot more to unpack. And this is when I'll take a breather and I'll let Chase do some talking.
So I know there's a lot to Dead Space 2, but I will give credit where credit is due, is that with everything that you had just discussed, that is quite a bit of what does go on. So, like you had said prior, is that everything is going on in your head. So, yet the necromorphs are real, but outside of you facing that threat alone, everything else is going on in your head. So, a lot of this is like with everybody having dementia and everything going on in your own head, you're having to fight for your survival based off of real threats, other threats because of their dementia, and then your own brain trying to tell you to kill yourself. You know,
A lot going on.
there's a lot going on. And then of course it's a video game, so you're gonna have your fun little like go at its with like bosses and stuff like that. So a lot of the times, like throughout this entire game, what there's 10 chapters in this now. I think
There's more
there's
than that. There's a 15 chapters.
15 chapters. So
Yep.
throughout the 15 chapters, and what I liked more about Dead Space 2 and why I think it's the greatest Dead Space that they've made is because they did a great job in Dead Space 2 at making sure like that the upgrades that they did from number 1 to number 2 were significant improvements to the game of like the what word am I looking for? Like the life
Like
of the
the
game, the
yeah,
the pleasure that the gamer gets out of playing this game. I mean, your rig is better, your weapons are better, the
the
story is
suits.
better. I mean, everything is better. Your upgrades can be better, the boss battles are better, the movement is better. Truly, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that there's actually a bad thing that came out of this game that I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe I'll think about it later. I don't know, but I mean, all the enemies are pretty much the same except the bosses. I mean, you have the same necromorphs that you actually had faced in number 1, so nothing's different there. Um,
The
Unless
lurkers
the
and the
lurkers,
babies and the children.
the children are there in number 1. The tentacle children,
Were they?
the tentacle babies.
No, like the little ones that scream and run at you.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, like the and let me just tell you, like that is screwed up on a whole other level. I was not mentally prepared to shoot a dead baby. There's a
But
lot
see,
to
you do
unpack, and
it in
that's
number
evidence
1
too.
though. You do it in number 1.
I don't remember there being a dead baby in
Well,
number one.
the dead babies in number 1 grow tentacles, and you shoot the tentacles to kill them.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
They
Yeah, the
don't run
tentacle
at you
ones.
screaming or anything, but you know it is what it is.
I'm also talking about the ones that explode too,
Mm-hmm.
like the small soft babies, like the newborns.
Yeah,
Though
I know.
that was
Yeah,
ugh, ugh, ugh. Don't touch that.
but no, they have some. They have. It's just really good gameplay with a really good story, and it's so fun to be able to play all of them back to back to back if you just have like a weekend to play. And getting into number 2 just really sets the tone for how mentally unstable you are with this marker messing you up so bad. It but you come out on top every time. You have the mentality to be able to like tell this thing off and not listen to it and do your best to make
Yep.
sure that nothing is in your way, and it's you have like a tunnel vision of what you're trying to accomplish here. Now, do you remember all the bosses in this?
I was just trying to think about that. The I
Because
know my
all I'm going to
favorite.
ask is what your favorite one is. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, my favorite one would be it's the big brute. It's hardly a fight. It's more like a quick action cut scene, but it was just something really satisfying in game. It unfortunately does have the one thing I don't like about Dead Space 2. There is something I don't like. The space battle. So zero gravity. Obviously, you're in space. If a window blows out, you get sucked out into space. You have a spacesuit on, like you're fine to breathe. But you collide into something, that's gonna kill you if you're going fast enough.
yes,
The what am I trying to think of? Physics is not on that side, on the gaming side, but it's a video game. I mean, obviously, there's not aliens running around either.
and it
So
was
if
a
you look at
video
the
game that was made in like 2012.
right, um,
So they're not trying to be Call of Duty as like extremely realistic.
right,
Yeah.
which that's fine too. But that's like the one thing I was just like, meh. But that the whole battle, there's like this giant monster, and you fight in space, and then it like follows you throughout like the piping, and like you just have to keep shooting, and it's just like it's just really it's like it's a movie, it's a cutscene, and it's a boss fight, and it's really satisfying to just because again you're not a hero, you're blindly jumping and leaping like I need to be over here, oh my god I need to be over here, and that would probably That or the the regenerators are hardly a boss fight. They're just a nuisance in this one because there's multiple of them.
Yeah, and to
And
be honest, I don't think boss fights in number two were as like obvious as boss fights in like number one. Like boss fights in number one, like you enter a giant room, you have like this one area to face this guy, and but boss fights in number two are just like it's a necromorph that you're like,
you don't see often.
yeah, you just don't see often. And then now after you've killed this boss, that necromorph becomes more predominant within the story. So
Yep.
like a brute, you kill a brute once, and now you face brutes every once in a while in the actual game,
Hmm.
which it sucks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The But I think the one of the ones that I hated the most were I mean obviously the regeneratives, but the ones with the tongue. It was like the three arms with the tongue because they would just jump and then they would lash at you and like I obviously stasising is the big thing there, but
Mm-hmm.
like they were just so freaky to look at. I was just like oh I'd rather the brute any day.
Bro, I'm not a fan of babies.
Yeah, little
If I
children
see
freak me out.
like in number one, my least favorite, and in number two because they're across the board, it's those tentacle babies. It
Yeah.
creeps me out, dude. Or if you get a jump scare with a baby in like a little a stroller and it like attacks you, I'm out.
Right.
I
No,
love
no, I'm
scary
done.
stuff, but that is the end of me, man.
That and mannequins. I hate mannequins. Nope. Mannequins and dolls, I refuse.
Yeah, dolls can creep me out.
There was oh, we're forgetting about the most probably well for me it was the most like tense monster fight ever. The lurkers, the ones that would like lurk around corners and they would jump out and scream and run at you.
Yeah.
Mostly because you would just hear like this like ah! Like sorry, it'd start quiet and get louder and louder and louder and then it would just you would just get knocked down. They would
Dude,
get me every time.
there it is, lurkers.
I think that's
Okay,
what they're
okay,
called.
that's what it was called. It was the baby with tentacles is called a lurker.
Oh, what was the thing that I'm thinking of?
Hold on.
You know what I'm talking about, right? They scream, they hide, and they run at you and bash you. They look like I don't know what they talk.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just gotta find.
Stalkers. I bet it's called
Oh,
stalker.
there's a thing called pregnant. Those are awful too.
Oh God,
Those are the
those were
worst. You can't hit its
mostly.
stomach.
And then if you do like enough damage to it, it would start stabbing its
Oh,
stealth and
it's definitely called a stalker.
bingo.
High pitched chirps and
Yep,
shrieks, flanking attack, frontal charge.
yep. That's it.
Oh
That's the thing I hate.
God, it's terrible. No, thank you.
But yeah, like the monster mechanics, super good improvement. They nailed it with the monster mechanics.
Yeah, they really did. Because in number two, you also face advanced, like advanced forms of these necromorphs, and so like there's something called an ubermorph, where it's like the hunter, the just the basic hunter, like the basic necromorph that you see 1,000 of them within the game. They have an ubermorph version of it where it's like a praying mantis looking thing,
Oh yeah.
and then there's also a new one called the tormentor, and it's the size and the health of three brutes that you have to face,
Yep.
and it's
Remember that guy
awful.
too.
See that's more like a boss fight that we're talking about. It just doesn't actually label it as a boss fight.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, because it was just a monster that exists, unfortunately.
yes. Anything else you got on Dead Space 2 though? I know we have there's a lot that can go into it, but personally I say if you guys think that you enjoy Dead Space 2 or you would, go play it. I suggest it highly, but us being on a very time crunched time with
Oh
talking
yeah, we
about
still
two
got.
different games, we do have to actually move on into Dead Space 3 because we're at 40 minutes.
Oh, I
So
got you. The
so
one last thing I would say
yep.
is the suits. I like the Iron Man esque update to the suit where like you could see it just clash around your head, and the suits, different types, they looked cool the entire time. It was 10 out of 10.
Yeah, they definitely upgraded the rig for sure and made it look way better. And then also for you guys who are on console, um, achievements are a lot more prevalent to you guys and trophies and stuff. And I know the achievements and trophies are way better to deal with in number 2 than number 1 was.
Yep.
Um, but
Yeah. With that, we'll go into number
number
3.
3, man. So
You can do this one. I haven't.
all right. I know we're gonna eventually get into the talk track of number 3 being an EA game because it was published fully by EA.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who know our stance on the EA franchise or the EA publisher, sorry, we hate them.
Blight on this world.
They are terrible at publishing games for the most part. And definitely something that they did was botch number 3 with ending the story. So, number 3, there's not as much to talk about because essentially this was just number 2 just didn't, with how much stuff they packed in number 2, they did not end it very well. There wouldn't have been an ending to it. I can't say that it didn't end it well because it wasn't meant to be an end.
Yep.
But number 3 did not do a great job at closing it out. So basically, by the end of number 2, you go into number 3, and again, this is your basic, your Dead Space, your third-person shooter. The rig is pretty much the same in number 2, or number 3 as it is in number 2. The weapons are all the same, and
Except for the revolver.
yeah. So, Dead Space 3 takes place 3 years after Dead Space 2 again. So, the year at this point is, I think, 20... Well, I can't say I think. Let's see. Let's look. I don't want to say I think.
Yeah, because this is when...
It takes place in 2514. So, Dead Space 2 was 2511. Dead Space 1 was 2508. Do the math.
Yep.
So, basically, the reason number 3 kind of sucks, in my opinion, is mostly because this just feels like that the writers, EA, not to name names or anything, sorry. I just feel like that they kind of created this game just out of nothing. They're just like, hey, let's make a Dead Space 3. Someone put it together in 3 weeks and we'll roll with it. So, so basically in Dead Space 3, they've killed the necromorphs that they needed to, and then somewhere else more necromorphs arise. And this time, it's Earth's moon, if I'm right. Do you know? Okay, that's
no.
fine. So basically, Isaac Clarke, the government called EarthGov has completely taken the blueprints from the marker out of his head. So they've successfully done that, and now Isaac Clarke and Ellie are just starting to be hunted by the government. And so they go to the moon, and where there's more necromorphs, and then they have to kind of stop that. Because at this point in time, the moon is habitable. What?
Sorry. So the I don't know if this is a real planet or not, but it's called Tol Volatus, and it's a frozen planet. So I searched up what the planet was called,
Well,
but
no.
the second...
So they go on Tol Volatus, but then in the very beginning of Dead Space 3, though, him and Ellie actually escape to the Earth's moon on the New Horizons lunar colony.
Yeah.
Where there's more necromorphs to be eradicated, essentially.
I thought you were talking about like the... Okay, gotcha. But what I was laughing at is the thing right underneath it is why Dead Space 3 is bad.
Where?
It says, like, I googled what planet is Dead Space 3 on, and then it said people also ask, why is Dead Space 3 bad? It's just funny. That's like the first thing that comes up with Google when I talk about Dead Space 3. Even Google knows.
Oh man. So at this point in time, the what's known as the inner circle, quote unquote inner circle, has started to reign over everything. They've used this marker to actually create and expand to major colonies around the entire Milky Way system. Um, so, and the To Volantis is also the final boss in this. So it's a moon, but it's like a necromorph.
Oh, that's
The
right.
moon itself is an actual necromorph that has been creating necromorphs and sending them across the galaxy. So you find out that there's this moon, and I don't think it's a real moon. I could be very wrong. I would assume it's not a real moon because I don't think they would use like planet I or moon Io as the bad guy in this series. But so
Right.
the final boss in this is basically a necromorph moon that you have to essentially kill. But the I it's really hard for me to discuss this game because personally I think if anybody plays Dead Space that they should only play Dead Space 3 to finish the story off. Other than that, this game is not good. Like they kind of ruined the way that weapons are made cuz EA does that. They've
Yep.
ruined the way that mechanics are made cuz EA does that. They've ruined
Let's.
the way the rig is done up and the storyline is done. And can you guess what I'm about to say?
What?
Cuz EA does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
EA ruins everything.
Let's add a barrel roll that nobody asked for and make it ineffective against virtually everything.
Yeah. Um,
Thank you, EA, for your minimum contribution to my game.
they did nothing to improve on what 2 did going into 3, and to be honest, they actually lowered the mechanical skill gap for people to be able to play this game naturally. And the why I say that and what I mean by that is if you started playing Dead Space 3 first and you like that, then you can go in and play 1 and 2 and they're significantly better and you'll be like, wow, I can't believe I tried to start with number 3 first because this
Yeah.
is crazy. Like the movement is better, the necromorphs are better, the scares are better in 1 and 2. Well, 3 did a terrible job at doing jump scares and all that. Essentially, Isaac Clarke's dementia and like all of his um, the psychological horror kind of comes out of it because the marker has been pulled from his brain, and although he still sees certain things out of this, he also doesn't. It's not as crazy as it has been in number 1 and 2. At this
Right.
point, he is no longer pretty much an engineer. He has become a soldier for necromorphs.
Yep.
And so all this scary stuff is out the window because like the game preps you for what exactly is to come. So I don't even think Dead Space 3 could be even put under the thriller or horror aspect because it's not actually scary except for the physical, like the look of what he's facing. The necromorphs physical, like who drew them, looks scary.
Right.
Any thoughts?
No, that's about it. Yeah, because the every gun takes the same ammo, which is dumb because that was like one of the hardest things. The whole point of a survival horror is you have to be able to use your resources correctly. Every gun takes the same ammo. Then fuck resources. I mean, it's going to be easier to do everything, and the fact you can do like I said, it's more actiony than horror. You can do barrel rolls, like you fight people instead of monsters. I mean, yeah, they're like cultist people, but like still like it felt like I was playing Gears 3, like an off-brand Gears 3 at some point, or like Gears of War. Um, yeah, the you hit it nail right on the head with that one. It's just because EA does that.
Yeah, and honestly, like this game, like I think you kind of nailed it too, is that it's a survival horror. So like when you think of like Dead Space for me, I think of like Dead Space 1, right? Where you
Mhm.
get like 6 weapons, maybe 8, and that's what you have to survive with. Each one having their own ammo type. Well, there's categorizations where two weapons have the same ammo type, and then 2 have others, two so there's 8 weapons but 4 ammo types. Number 2 has a little bit more weapons, a little bit more ammo types. Number 3, everything gets the same ammo type. You can build your weapons how you want them. You actually can find parts to improve these weapons in individualized spots. So, kind of like all you who play Call of Duty, you go to the gunsmith. You can add a scope on these things, but And then so you'll have like 5 attachments you can put on each weapon. You can attach these parts and all that. You can find blueprints for like an SMG. So I mean, there's random stuff in this game that was just to make a survival horror easier for everybody. So
Mm.
it's just what EA does. They try to make everybody as equally good as a game as everybody else. Now, I will say something I really enjoyed that Dead Space 3 did though, and it kind of sucks like later down the road like right now, um to completely complete the game 100%, you have to have multiplayer completed as well. So there's a multiplayer aspect to this game, a co-op essentially, where you can
Mhm.
actually play Dead Space 3 co-op all the way through. But there are specific doors and hatches that you can only open up if you are playing co-op. So if you're trying to get all the achievements and stuff, it sucks because like nowadays when nobody plays it, there's no matchmaking either. So you have to play with somebody that you know is also going to play it because then you have to like invite them to your game and then you have to do all that.
Mhm.
And so nowadays you can't complete the game because you're not going to really find anybody who's going to be playing these games anymore. It's very difficult because they don't have a matchmaking system for it, which sucks.
Yeah, there's a lot about Dead Space 3 that was just hard to digest. Um, I will say some parts of the story were really nice, like when that one spoilers, when that one captain, whatever his name was, whenever he got that was so good because
Yeah, I
everybody
mean,
was like,
I would say Dead Space 3, the only thing that would be good about it is the story because the gameplay itself just was botched.
yeah, it was significantly toned down, choppy, not visceral game at all. It was definitely an EA game,
Yep.
and I was really upset. It was so sad to see my favorite franchise just take. It's like EA took the script and just wiped their butt with it, and then just was like, "All right, it's ready to go."
And it sucks because EA thinks that they're always doing the right thing, but they just don't do a great job at actually sending a finalized product into, the everything.
I hope EA hears this. I hope this come across CEO podcast, and he's like, "You know what? They're right. We do stink.
We are terrible.
We
We need
are
to make a
terrible
Dead
people."
Space 4.
Dead Space 4. We'll make it better. We'll do it just like Dead Space 2, and
Yeah.
you'll love us again. Start doing that
Um,
like ugly cry.
but so what would be your favorite part about Dead Space 3 besides the story?
Um, Probably the like not the ending to the story, but the ending of the gameplay, like that action sequence between platform and platform, and that one part where Isaac just rips off his helmet and he's like oozing blood but still fighting on, like that was legit. I will give him that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did have fun with that final boss.
And
Everything
what's your
else,
least favorite?
the the freaking barrel roll that did not help me at any point in time in that damn game.
You seem that you've had like some major barrel roll problems. Like
Oh
it's
my
like you died
god.
1,000 times because you tried to barrel roll and now it's like stuck in your brain that you need like barrel rolling's bad.
Yeah, yeah. For that game, it was because I would time it oh so perfectly and never evade damage at all. I don't know why the barrel roll was in there, and I don't know. It made no sense to me. I mean, I get it; it was a shooting game because you had to fight people. Maybe you were supposed to barrel roll from one place to another, but uh, it never helped with monsters at all in the slightest.
That's fair.
That was my least favorite thing, 100%.
That's
My
fair.
favorite thing was the fact that you could build a revolver that would one shot almost any monster. That was my favorite thing because
Yeah,
that's
because
just
in Dead Space 3, they kind of went away from the whole you have to shoot off its appendages, didn't it?
yeah. Because
It
now
just had
it like
health.
yeah, they just had health in general, so you could like the limbs did more damage, yeah, but like you could just body it with one headshot.
And knock it dead.
And that was so satisfying. That revolver just yeah, because it was like plasma based revolver, so it like kicked like a revolver, but it was still like energy. Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Um. See, I'd say my favorite part was probably well here. My least favorite part was all of the additions of weapons and the necromorphs just having health, like we just talked about. I hated the fact that you no longer had to create strategy for your game plan of trying to kill the enemies based out of this game with their appendages, and that they just had strictly health now. And now that you're just like a soldier amongst men in this, and no longer like this crazy engineer who is, just trying to fight for his life. Now you're basically stationed at this place trying to kill off the rest of the necromorphs. Like, you've become a soldier without trying to become a soldier. That's my least favorite part. Now, my favorite part, and it sucks to say because it's nowadays, like I said, it doesn't work, but I really liked the co-op. Although that made the game easier itself, they did adding a co-op aspect to the game actually made it kind of fun because you were able to go through the story with somebody else who could have been just as passionate about Dead Space as you are. And like, if they love the story that much, then you could just go through together. And I actually did that. I went through the story with somebody else, and it was a lot of fun. And it was someone I went to school with at the time, and we just talked about Dead Space all the time back then. And we were just like, well, Dead Space 3 has this co-op. Why don't we play it together? And I'm like, really? That's so cool. Yeah, let's do it. And I also...
Friends.
What?
I said I didn't have friends, so I just played by myself.
Jeez, that's so sad.
It's fine. People are annoying anyway. But I do remember like some of the doors that are like involve multiplayer. I always wondered what was in them. I assumed it was just better loot.
Yeah, it's blueprints, and like that's where you find like better loot and stuff for your rig to upgrade stuff.
And for the record, I had friends. None of them like survival horror games the way I did. Anytime we played games together, it was always Halo or.
Well, it's crazy because until I started playing games with you, I know nobody who likes survival horror games. Nobody.
Yeah, I'm the last of my kind apparently.
Yeah, dude. I guess I don't know why people don't like them, but I love them. I actually haven't gotten to Resident Evil yet, but I love like Outlast. I love this. I love Phasmophobia, 7 Days to Die, stuff like that. But I also, what I liked about Dead Space 3 also is, although they kind of went backwards with upgrades of the rig, the look of the suit looks amazing. They did such a good job at creating new suits because, and I don't know who out there has ever played Mass Effect, but this game, Dead Space 3, had an N7 armor suit, and that I fell in love with instantly. I love Mass Effect. I love it.
I just started playing it for like the first time on the Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, dude, it's such a good series. But we won't get into that. That could be another episode. Yeah. I love Mass Effect.
Let me play a little more, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. But honestly, it sucks to say there's not as much to talk about on Dead Space 3 as there is Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2 is just a very, very good middle ground between what 1 and 3 had. And essentially, if you guys are here listening for what a story is supposed to be like, essentially the way this story actually works is you start off. So it's 3 years after the events of Dead Space 2. You go to the moon with Ellie and try to hide, and then necromorphs pop up, and then you start killing all these necromorphs, and in the end, you're still on the moon, and you essentially kill this moon called, you said it earlier, and it's a very weird name.
Tal Volatus,
yeah. And that is just the mother of all necromorphs, and so you kill off necromorphs altogether because you destroy the moon. So...
Dorkfish is also excited for the Mass Effect or Mass Effect Remaster.
I was just about to get into that, Dorkfish. Well, not get into that as like episode wise, but I was about to read that off too because the new Mass Effect Legendary Edition comes out May 14th of this year, and I am stoked.
I'm currently playing it now. It's nice because it's a challenge, because you can't just gun ho your way in a battle.
Yep.
So I'm just like, oh, it's not my style, but okay, I will play it your way.
Yeah, dude, I'm huge into I'm huge into that stuff, man. I love Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect to me is like these, like your Resident Evil to you.
Yep.
I could just speak about Mass Effect like one episode. I could just speak all about like episode one. Um, but what else you got on Dead Space 3, my man?
Um, rest in peace. Hopefully, I'll never have to play you ever again. Those kind of how I feel about Dead Space 3. Like I said, the story was the only good thing about it. Everything else, the revolver was satisfying, but other than that, I was just pretty well over all the other stuff.
Yeah,
Dead Space 2 is always going to be my favorite game I've ever played.
that's fair. It's a very good choice. Very good choice to have for a forever game.
Yep, that's my forever game. Dead Space 2. Like I
Um,
said, the psychological horror that it did, it was just bar none. I've yet to find a game to really mess with me like the way that game did.
yeah, I love having games like that, man, where you just like forever for the rest of your life, you'll be like, that game did me in right.
hmm
Um,
Resident Evil was the very first survival horror game I ever played. Resident Evil 2, actually. That was the first one I ever played, and I was obsessed with that game. Still am. I would play the old school. I need to get a Nintendo 64 so I can play it again.
it's a good game.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but you have nothing else?
Nope.
All right. Well, we will wrap this up. Um,
I guess
so,
the
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess we'll the ratings then. Do you want to start with Dead Space 2?
That's what I was gonna do. For Dead Space 2, I would give probably a 9. I mean, I don't want to sit there and say the game is absolutely perfect, although it is a heavy debate as to whether or not I will actually go there. But a 9 out of 10 is probably what I would give that solidly. What about you?
See, for me, and this is my opinion, a 10 out of 10 game, and I'll give it a perfect score simply because it had everything I've ever wanted in a game: psychological horror, jump scares, monsters, stories, weapons, upgrades, abilities. Um, like it had it all. And one thing I did forget, one of my favorite jump scares in Dead Space 2, it got me, like it scared me, and then it made me mad, and that was that stupid sun when you're going through the school area.
Oh
There's
my
that little sun that just
god, yes.
it got you too, didn't it?
Of course it did. It's it's what it's meant to do.
I have not played Alan Awake. Dorkfish asked if you played Alan Awake. I haven't played that. Have you?
No, I actually didn't. So Alan Wake, it's a funny story about that. It came out free on Xbox like 2 years ago, I think, and I downloaded it and I tried to play it, and my Xbox froze 3 different times trying to play it and like open it, and then I was like, all right, I'm done with this game. I'm never gonna try it. So I
I
didn't
was
play
that
it.
way with Alien Isolation. It crashed on me 3 different times trying to play it through the Xbox Game Pass, and I'm like, oh, I'll just never play this. I've watched the Alien movies. I know what happens.
Yep. So I was like, all right, my Xbox clearly doesn't want me to play Alan Wake. I'm out.
I wonder if it's on Steam.
It's
I'll
probably.
give it a shot. I'll give it a shot if it's on Steam.
I don't know what it is. So, um,
Oh,
but
it
anyways,
is.
uh,
It's $15.
anyways, Dead Space 3, a 6. I'm doing 6.
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say it's right above that midpoint because the story is fantastic and does a great job at actually finishing off the story for the Dead Space saga. Um, but everything else sucked about it.
Yep.
You?
Dead Space 3 is like a 4. I've seen I've seen better, like, don't get me wrong, the ending was super let downy. Everything felt really forced. My beloved uh un unrequested hero, who he he's not the hero you wanted, but he was the hero you needed kind of guy, went away to this like wannabe super soldier who was a little whiny, if I'm gonna be honest. Um, I don't know. I just wasn't
Tell
a
them how
fan
you really
about it.
feel.
4 out of 10. That's how I feel.
Fantastic. All right, and let's do something that we've never done on this program before. How would you rate EA
As a company,
as a publishing company
like
as a whole?
I would rather have
Here. How about this? Hold on. On a scale of you would like to stab your eye out with a screwdriver to you will put down the controller for the rest of your life, that being the best option.
If EA was the only publishing company left in the game, left in like the market, and no other body was developing games,
Yeah.
I'd take up chess.
I would go buy chess and start playing board games.
Start playing
And
board games.
then you start seeing EA on every board game too.
Like half the pieces are missing. You gotta pay like another like expansion just to play the actual game.
Oh, yeah, because EA charges for all their expansions. They must be the one who created Cards Against Humanity,
Oh yeah.
dude.
Oh, and that's
35
why
expansion packs.
Dead Space 3 was the only one that had DLCs because EA's got their hands on it.
Yep, microtransactions started up in 2014, guys.
That's my 2 cents about it.
Yeah, I'd give EA a 2 because I like Apex Legends and they had a little bit of a hand in there, and I like Battlefield and they had a little bit of a hand in there.
Yeah,
That's
Battlefield and Apex are the only thing that gives them anything on the scoreboard.
But I think that's all we have here. I mean, so I know we did a lot more Dead Space than we did Dead Space 2 than 3, but I mean that's just because that's just the way it has to happen. Dead Space 3
If you
is
play
just
the
not as
game,
good of a
she'll
game.
understand why.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I would say go play the games and you'll completely understand why that had to happen. Now, I will finish off again by saying, if you guys enjoy the program, please leave us an Apple review or an Apple 5-star. And if you want to accompany that with a review, we will gladly read that here live on Twitch every week, 7:30 Central Standard Time. We live in the United States, so so we will read that live here. Go follow the YouTube channel. It's at Crispy Claire. All these go live on that, and we would appreciate the support on there too. Thank you, everybody who came out to actually, appreciate this live. Get your bread up, Dorkfish, the Dave Daly, Blackheart. Thank all of you guys for coming out here and saying hi, checking us out live. Definitely appreciate it. And check us out on our social medias. I have Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and my Twitch are all Crispy Claire. Ross?
I'm at Twitter at pflava, PFLAVAH. And then you can also find me on Twitch at pieflavor, PIEFLAVAH. And you can also find me accompany a few people on their streams. Sometimes I'm with Princess_Bayo. Other times I'm with Bean _96. Those are where you can typically find me at. If I'm not streaming, my wife usually is Mean Bean, or one of my other friends are.
Yep. And last but not least, I'm gonna in the show notes. You guys will have all of this info there, and please join the Discord. The Discord is getting more lively every week, and we take suggestions for episodes there. We also take suggestions through Apple Podcasts, which is honestly, I'm almost to the point where if you guys want to give an episode suggestion, you will have to leave us some sort of review because it's going on about 4 weeks without having a review, and Apple, like I said earlier, the analytics do require that we do get some of those every once in a while. So if you want an episode suggestion, leave us a review, and in the review, just put whatever you want us to actually rate and go over, and we'll do everything we can. We'll buy the game, we'll play it, we'll do research on it, whatever you want us to do. Just leave that review, and that is something we are more than happy to do. Again, I appreciate all of you guys for coming out, saying hi, and I appreciate all you listeners who download this on any of your podcasting platforms.
So
Ross, any last words?
I appreciate everyone. I look forward to next week, and if you guys, like I said, have a request, please let us know. I'm down to play anything.
Same.
And we always look out for new games, so let us know. We'll do a review on a game you like. So, and again, thanks for listening.
And that is all for episode 9. Peace.
Peace.
Boom shakalaka.
Freaking EA.
Dude, I hate them. They're so terrible.
What's up, dude? What's up, Paparino?
Gosh. Okay, so I'm cutting this out. And for all of you guys who are still here, we appreciate all of you guys. I am ending the stream though. We're gonna go play some Warzone with some buddies of ours, and I'm not staying up late, so I'm just gonna go end the stream. I don't really want to stream.
Yeah, but we appreciate